Hello and how goes everybody? My name is CYI3R, but you can call me Cyber. Today we are continuing the Pokemon Champions Climb with the last of the 3 pre-season videos that I have recorded a while back and finally got around to. Today we have a Mega Scolipede focus with a basic Tyranitar, physical wall Aggron, special Electros that's not a Mega. I didn't want to focus on to have a secondary Mega during the time of this battle, and I had just finished the other two Electros videos as for why I didn't want to have a second one on my team. Especially defensive, physical Weirdeer. I've grown to love this Pokemon a lot. And finally, an max speed, max attack, Aerodactyl for support. Mainly for support. But it does still gain... I do still have moves like Dual Wing Beat for like Whimsicots and other grass types. I still got Bulldoze for speed control when I can't risk putting up a Tailwind. Here are all the EVs. I went with a split defense speed investment on the Scolipede with the max attack. I honestly, going back on it, I would change that and do a max speed, max attack if I had to decide. Or maybe max defense, max attack. But here we're getting into the first battle. Now, as you can see, they have three potential Megas with the Rotom, Tyranitar, Gengar. I'm not too certain what they're going with, but I want the Scolipede as definitely one of the mons I take with me in every match. Just like, as I said, this is supposed to be a bit of a showcase. I decided to go with the same start as the last two videos with the Electros, Aerodactyl lead. This time Electros is not the Mega though. So it might lack a bit power in some aspects, but it'll still put in the work where it needs to. There are going to be some cuts in this video. It's mainly going to be, once again, delays or communication issues. Now, for the first battle, they lead with a Tyranitar Scizor. Now, obviously Tyranitar sets up the sand, as it always does. And here I decide I'm going to set up Tailwind, and I'm going to try and roast the Scizor before it can do anything. Now, right off rip, they actually pull out the Mega Tyranitar. And honestly, I wasn't expecting that. I didn't know if it was going to be that or the Scizor. Either one would have been... Like I said, they had three potentials. It was hard to figure out which one they would go with. But Flamethrower comes out after the Tailwind and just completely one-shots their Scizor. Doesn't stand a chance. Doesn't get to do anything at all. That's the thing. Scizor is good, but it's very slow without priority. Now, here's a Rock Slide from the enemy Tyranitar. It pops the sash on my Aerodactyl and does about half to my Electros. Now, that's a lot of damage. The Sandstorm puts me down to just below half. So, there was a bit of a jump there. They took a while to decide, and they sent in their Basculegion. Now, I'm deciding what to do here. Now, I don't know if it's going to be Aqua Jet Basculegion or something else. I'm trying to decide what my best options were, and I decided to send in Weirdeer because both are physical attackers. It will get a good Intimidate, makes it so I can live the next attack that either one wants to send out pretty reliably. So Weirdeer comes out with the Intimidate, drops their attack by one stage. Giga Drain from Electros does a third roughly with a crit, so it's very especially bulky, the Tyranitar. Now here's the flip turn from Basculegion, does a decent chunk, about a third. A little less than a third, I want to say, to my Weirdeer. And then here comes the Rotom. Rotom Heat, one of the rare ones you don't see often. Another Rock Slide comes in, that Intimidate putting in the work, makes the damage easily livable. Now, the Sandstorm buffets everything. That Rotom, if it had a Sash, it's gone now. I doubt they had a Sash, though, given it's a Sand team and it's a non-Sand Pokemon, and it's a non-immune Pokemon. Now, here, I will admit, my brain went a little stupid. I completely forgot Rotom gets Levitate for a second, so I went for a Protect and a High Horsepower. The Tyranitar actually also goes for a Protect. And, again, me forgetting the basics in Pokemon for a second there cost me my weird ear. As the Dark Pulse takes it out. There. Now, next, well, yeah, and then Sandstorm, another round of Sandstorm puts Electros on low HP. I didn't contemplating sending in Aerodactyl again, but I decided against it and send in the Scolipede. There was a bit of a delay there just because mobile, sometimes it doesn't click on my inputs. Now, I'm thinking about what to do here, and I decided I'm going to Leech Life the Tyranitar and basically focus it down with the Giga Drain as well. Leech Life comes out and does a massive amount of damage, easily, like, that's almost half. That's way over half, I would say. And the Giga Drain finishes it off, which is very nice. No crits needed, though. I feel like the crit would have finished off the Tyranitar entirely and got some damage on the Rotom, but it's alright. Thunderbolt comes out, does a huge chunk to Scolipede. Sandstorm puts it in the red, puts us both back in the red. And now my Tailwind's also finished out. But I get the speed boost, which should help, which I'm thinking here helps a bit. Now, Basculegion comes back in, I decide to... I know I can live another turn of Sandstorm. And I'm contemplating if to Mega or if to get a little more speed first. I decide to protect, get some more speed, try and see if they focus down Scolipede, and I was hoping they'd try to focus on Scolipede and I could get a Giga Drain on the Basculegion, but Last Respect comes out, one-shots, or finishes off my Electros, I should say. It's to be expected. T-Bolt gets blocked there by the Protect, Sandstorm finally ends. I get my second speed boost. And obviously I gotta send in the 1 HP Aerodactyl. I'm gonna be honest, here I didn't have much else I think I could do. I didn't want to just surrender, I wanted to like play it out. Like, then again, this is what happens when you don't do max speed investments, because I feel like with max speed, I outspeed the Basculegion here. And could get everything on, but as you will see, my investments did not do what I needed them to do. I go for the Mega here for the extra bit of power. And see if maybe with a little extra bit of extra bulk, I might live something like barely, but Last Respect just finishes it off. And then next we have is just Aerodactyl without a Tailwind. Realistically, I should have just went for an attack here with Aerodactyl, but Thunderbolt finishes it off. And that's pretty much the end of the first battle. And first one's a loss, but we'll come to redeem it soon. GG's to my opponent, though, I will say. They played it very well, and I feel like the weird year thing is what lost me it. But moving on to the next battle. I see that Staraptor, and I immediately know what's coming. I immediately clock it as the Mega Staraptor, because this was back when it was very popular. It could also be Mega, but on the off chance it's Mega Garchomp, I also want to make sure I have my Aggron. Because I do have Metal Burst on it, and part of my strategy with it is... I specifically have Metal Burst on it for the Mega Staraptor. Because I'm expecting it to hit it with some fighting type stab, and then get shot and then blasted. And as I thought, they started with Whimsicott Staraptor. The Intimidate drops only hurts Aerodactyl a little bit, I won't lie. Now here I am thinking about what to do. I don't know if I want to focus down the Whimsicott, try and shut it down so it can't support the Staraptor or something, but I decide I'm going to try and focus it down. It's probably going to get the Tailwind up anyway, and I can at least get some damage on it. Now, as I said, Mega Staraptor, called that one right off the bat. That's part of why I'm going straight for straight for damage on it. I probably could have taken it out if I focused it. Here, I don't know. I thought Dual Wing Beat would take out Whimsicott. I forgot the Intimidate, honestly. But something fun, something that I completely missed the first chance non-Prankster Whimsicott. And the close combat does 2/3 to Electros. But Electros with the Thunderbolt in retaliation does a little over 2/3 that, which is great. Which means once I get which means I'm probably gonna go down if I don't protect. So I decide I'm gonna Tailwind, protect, make guarantee I get it up. And I'm also just sitting here wondering what are they gonna do? And they actually swap out their Staraptor and bring in the Heat-Swing Typhlosion. And it frisks both the Sash and the Glasses, which isn't too bad. It doesn't really do anything. The Protect feeling a little bit useless, but it does stop the Moonblast from Whimsicott. And then Tailwind from Aerodactyl to help with speed control. Now, I'm deciding what to do next, and I decide to Bulldoze for speed control here. And I decide I'm just going to finish roasting the Cotton Ball while I can. At least at first. I decided in the end, but as you can see, I decided in the end, Thunderbolting the Typhlosion. Because I expected the Eruption to come, I just thought I would outspeed. Unfortunately, I don't, and Electros goes down. But Aerodactyl lives that pretty healthily. A little over half health, I would say. And then here comes the Bulldoze. Doesn't really do much damage. And once again, the Intimidate really biting me in the butt there. But the speed drops really help for speed control. Now here comes the Moonblast from Whimsicott, and Aerodactyl lives on 10, which is insane. Now I'm deciding what to swap in next, and I decide I'm going to bring in the Scolipede. It might seem a bit risky with the Typhlosion, but I figured with the Tailwind, I might be able to do something. I decide to dual Wing Beat, finish off Whimsicott here. And I decide I'm also going to Rock Slide, just to chunk out the Typhlosion a bit. First dual Wing Beat takes out Whimsicott. Doesn't even need the second one. Single Wing Beat, I guess. Now, Typhlosion does get outspeed, and the Rock Slide gets full damage and puts it down on 10%. And that's actually really good because the Eruption here does nothing to both my mons. Scolipede is weak to it, and it still doesn't do much. And Aerodactyl actually living on 4% now. And their Tailwind finished. And I have it now, and Scolipede's now sitting there at +2. There was another cut there, sorry about that. They took a while to decide, and then Garchomp comes in. Now, I'm trying to figure out what to do here. And I decide I'm going to continue with the speed control plays. I'm going to Bulldoze and Protect, get another +1 speed, effectively a +2 because of the speed drop on both of them. But that all comes down to if I actually outspeed. And of course I do, because Aerodactyl with Tailwind is ridiculously fast. Now that Bulldoze actually finishes off the Typhlosion, which is great, because that's a lot less free damage to take. And it does a decent chunk to Garchomp, not as much as anyone would expect, but Rock Tomb from Garchomp does finish off Aerodactyl here. And it's terrible timing because my Tailwind ends there. But with the speed boost, I should be able to outspeed the rest of their mods with the Scolipede here. Now, obviously, we're both down to our last two. They're going to bring back in the Mega Staraptor. I have my Aggron left, and I decided... Here I was checking to see what my stats were looking at right now. Because I thought I was at 3, but I wanted to confirm that, and I was only at 2. Which isn't too bad. Still good, it's still decent speed. Now, here's where some nonsense, absolute nonsense happens. I go for the Metal Burst on Aggron, expecting a close combat to come his way. It's got sturdy, it'll definitely live, and then afterwards it'll finish off the Staraptor, or the Garchomp if it's depending on who hit it. And then I go for the Mega Scolipede for the Rock Slide here. Because I figured I have enough speed, I could outspeed both of them, and I don't have to worry about that. I'm expecting Rock Slide to take out Staraptor here and do decent to Garchomp. It does okay to both, but here's the shenanigans: Staraptor flinch and Garchomp flinch at the same time. And it does make Metal Burst reveal my Metal Burst for free, which sucks. But better than losing than just nothing happening and losing my Mega in one move. So I decide I'm gonna Iron Head on the Garchomp and Rock Slide for more damage again. Rock Slide finishes off the Staraptor this time, and you would not read about it. Okay, prepare yourself. Another flinch on Garchomp, 2 in a row. All my luck in that battle. Iron Head does a good chunk of damage, easily 30-something%. And Garchomp on its last legs, I decide body press just to see what it does, and they forfeit. They've had enough. Completely understandable. That second flinch was literally just game over at that point. But GG's to my opponent, and on to the third battle. Now, here for this one, I had trouble deciding if I wanted to bring the Aggron because of the Incineroar and the Charizard, but the Garchomp Basculegion, both which struggle getting past Aggron a bit. But I decide I'm going to take the Weirder. There's more special attackers in the Goldango, the Whimsicott, and the Charizard, and Weirder could live any attack from those with relative ease, I would say. Now, as for what they brought, they actually start off with the Goldango and the Basculegion. Actually, this is the first time I've seen Goldango since starting playing Pokemon Champions. Now, I decide I'm just going to do the tried and true combo. Tailwind, Thunderbolt. Oh, sorry, my mistake. I actually went for the Flamethrower here on the Goldango. Trying to get some damage on it, make sure it can't set up or anything like that. Flamethrower comes out and does good damage, well over half to the Goldango. And it actually goes for a nasty plot here, which I thought was surprising, because that just seemed a bit of a greedy move. Wave Crash comes out from Basculegion and Pop Sash on Aerodactyl. Does a lot, but that should also do a lot of recoil to it. And by a lot, I mean about a quarter. Which isn't too bad at the end of the day. That guarantees that it's not living anything well. Now, I decide I'm going to save the Aerodactyl and maybe might get some more speed control later on in the match. And I'm going to finish off the Goldango with the Flamethrower. Weirder doesn't do much to the Goldango with the Intimidate, but the Basculegion should make it. Should not be able to finish anything off with the drop afterwards. Aqua Jet comes out, because obviously they were trying to finish off Aerodactyl, but in the crate, which is unfortunate because it puts it down to half for Weirder. And, well, Leftovers does heal it back up to half. Now, here I'm deciding what I'm going to do. I decide I'm going to high horsepower Goldango and Thunderbolt on Basculegion. Because, well, I clearly outspeed both of them at this point, and I want to split up for fastest thing. I could have Trailblazed the Basculegion for more speed, but it wouldn't have taken it out, and I didn't want to risk it living. But T-Bolt, Thunderbolt just completely decimates it. High horsepower finishes off Goldango. The max, again, Weirder is very fun to use. I actually would recommend you use it if you have the chance. More Leftovers recovery gets me a decent bit of health back. Now, here comes their last two, Incineroar and Garchomp. Now, Intimidate hurts a little bit. Weirder really just doesn't do well with it. Now, I thought about bringing back an Aerodactyl to continue the speed control, but then I remembered exactly what Incineroar does. It's obviously when just first sentence comes in, it's going to go fake out. So I decided I'm just going to wait it out, double protect. Just to stall out the fake out turn, maybe I can do something afterwards. Now, the Garchomp also goes for protect, and as predicted, Incineroar's fake out gets completely blocked. Which is good. That's a nice. I think that was one of the better plays I made in this battle. Now, my Tailwind does fall off here on that same turn as well, which is kind of a shame. But Fake Out would have made something go down, take some heavy damage if I wasn't careful. Or at least that's the thought process I had. Now here I decide I'm going to focus down the Incineroar, and Rock Slide from Garchomp misses Weirdeer and focuses solely on the Electros, and it does pretty much nothing, even with the Life Orb in boost, which is honestly a bit interesting. But that just goes to show Electros's bulk, even if with the flinch. Now the Intimidate hindering the high horsepower to pretty much nothing, but Throat Chop just finishes off Weirdeer here, which is, you know, 07s to the great deer, Grandpa Deer there. He did his best, and he didn't do bad too either. He took out the gold, and he put a dent into the Tiger there. Now I sent back an Aerodactyl to. At first I thought about going for Tailwind, but I decided no, let's just Bulldoze. It outspeeds everything, and the speed drop will be enough to make it so Electros outspeeds whatever comes next. Bulldoze obviously misses. Electros does decent damage to Incineroar, does a borderline nothing to the Garchomp, but Thunderbolt also fails to take out the Incineroar, and a Rock Slide misses Aerodactyl, funnily enough. Because Garchomp just hates the eel, I guess. And Life Orb once again. It's surprising how little damage that does, being solo target and Life Orb, but Flare Blitz comes out from Incineroar and takes out the eel, but it also takes out the Incineroar at the same time. Now, I will admit this last part is a little bit BM. I pretty much had this in the bag. There was no way they come back from it. Like, Aerodactyl is just just living for no reason. So I decided I'm going to Wide Guard, block out the Rock Slide, and I wasn't sure which would do more. I think when I was playing, I didn't notice that the Leech Life was just effective and not very effective, like Poison is. I also wanted to see if I could go for the Poison as well, which overall I didn't need to do. If I paid attention, I could have just Leech Life here, and the battle would have been over a turn sooner. Rock Slide gets blocked by Wide Guard, which is very nice. And honestly, this guy could not catch a break near the end here. Because, like, I Bulldoze Protect combo, again, just for more damage, a little extra speed. I didn't want Aerodactyl to take itself out with the Rough Skin on Garchomp. They actually went for Protect the same turn. So, pretty much it was an empty turn where nothing really happened. Besides, like, some wasted PP, I guess. And a speed boost, so it's not the end of the world, but I already have speed control with the first Bulldoze. I decided to Wide Guard again with Aerodactyl, expecting another Rock Slide. Or in the case they have Earthquake, it would protect against that as well. But in case they decide they wanted to take out Scolipede. But I decided to Leech Life again. Here, I'm not gonna lie, I was hoping it takes it out, but I wasn't certain if it would. And it does decent damage, heals me back up to full, but it doesn't take it out, and the Rough Skin kind of just does it back again. And once again, Rock Slide getting perfectly called by the Wide Guard there from Aerodactyl. Once again, which goes to show, even on 1 HP, this thing is just very good at what it does when it comes to supporting. Now here I decide I'm going to let Scolipede finish it off, because I don't have another Protect to use. I don't want to do a Wing Beat and lose it, in case something unpredictable happens. And I also decided to Mega, just to guarantee that little bit of power. You could say it's BM waiting till then to Mega when I could have Mega'd from the start, but Mega drops the speed on Scolipede for some reason, so I wanted to make sure I had the speed for it. Leech Life finishes off Garchomp though. Rough Skin does a little extra bit, does a little damage at the end, and that's the end of that. The battle number 3. Once again, GG's to my opponent there. It was a very interesting battle, although that Garchomp missing on everyone but the eel was kind of hilarious to me, I'm not gonna lie. But here we go into the 4th and final battle. Another Incineroar, another Whimsicott, another Garchomp. But Greninja, Sylveon, Raichu as interesting choices. I was thinking it was a Mega Raichu, And because of those and Mega Raichu could be either or, both would get kind of shut down a bit by Weird Ears, which is why I led with him. Not lead with him, but I went with him in this battle. Now let's get into the final one of the night. Now they start off with a Garchomp Whimsicott combo, to be expected. I start off with the Electros Aerodactyl. Once again, tried a very good combo to go off of, especially with Bulldoze. Now I decide I'm just gonna go for Tailwind off the rip and just Flamethrower the Whimsicott to get it out of here as soon as possible. I didn't want to give it a chance to do more than what it will do. Because almost every one of them carries Sash. It's guaranteed getting Tailwind up. Now I wasn't expecting Mega Garchomp here right off rip. Now that's gonna do a lot, and especially with the Tailwind, I'm expecting to get outsped here. And outspeed I do. Rock Slide comes through, and Electros avoids it this time. This time, only Aerodactyl's taken in front of it. Doesn't pop Sash though, interestingly enough. Guess that natural bulk was just good enough, but it does flinch, and the Flamethrower pops the Sash on Whimsicott. So both our support mons are down on their last legs. And our two little attackers for this turn are just didn't touch each other at all. Now here I'm deciding what to do, and I decide I'm going to Wide Guard. Pretty much a repeat of the last battle. Wide Guard to stop any Rock Slide, Flamethrower to finish off Whimsicott. Now. Sorry. Recording this late at night. Giga Drain on Electros does nothing. Whimsicott was like desperate last stance there, but heals it back up to 20. Heals it back up 20%, so it didn't do bad. Rock Slide got called. Perfect Wide Guard turn there, and Flamethrower to finish off Whimsicott guarantees no more Tailwind, no taunts or anything like that. Whatever other shenanigans they had going on with it, which is great. Now. Well, there's a bit of a delay here while they waited to pick the next Pokemon, and it is the Sylveon. Now, for those of you who remembered or saw the last few videos, there actually was I believe there was a physical Sylveon on one of those teams, and that was still in my mind when I did this battle. Now, I decide what I'm going to do is switch out Aerodactyl, get the Weird Ear, get the Intimidate on the Garchomp. It should live whatever Sylveon's got going for it. Electros once again avoiding Rock Slide, which is kind of ironic given last battle. It's just the opposite. But Hyper Voice comes in, chunks both mons. Weirder takes it a lot better than I thought he would. Honestly, because I know Sylveon Hyper Voice does a lot of damage. Giga Drain on Garchomp doesn't do too much. Heals a little bit. It's not going to live another attack though. Now, here I have a thought, because Tailwind, I know, is almost up, and I see that it's got one more turn, so I decide to do what I find the most sensible thing, Double Protect once again. You stalls out the Tailwind, Weird Ear might outspeed something afterwards. You know Garchomp gets slower after Megaing. So I'm hoping that gives me just enough to where I might outspeed it, get some damage on it, before these two mons, because these two guys are going down next turn, 100%. Rock Slide getting blocked on both ends. Hyper Voice going to get blocked on both ends as well, as expected. Overall, a pretty very defensive but worthwhile turn, I would say. Now here, I am deciding to focus down Sylveon to take it out, because it's doing more damage than the Garchomp is at this point. The Garchomp has got a -1 in attack. It doesn't look like they're going to swap it out at all. So I decide what I'm going to do is just go double stab onto Sylveon, do as much damage as possible. And the Garchomp actually still outspeeds, and it goes for an Earthquake, interestingly enough. Now that Earthquake does okay damage to Sylveon, does a lot more to Weird Ear than I thought it would, but he still hangs on. And with the T-Bolt and the Psy Shield Bash, which gives him a defense boost, which I would think makes him live one more attack, maybe. actually finishes off the Sylveon with the assist from Garchomp. Funnily enough, they helped further my own game plan. Now here comes the Greninja, their final mon of the team, and I'm thinking, okay, this thing might outspeed and just destroy the rest of my team at this point, or at least put a dent in them. Now I decide what I'm going to do is, well, I decide I'm gonna, well, firstly, Icy Wind comes out from the Greninja, which shows me that it's support. Poison Jab from Garchomp finishes off Electros, which is unfortunate, but to be expected. And just to cherry on top, Side Shield Bash misses on Garchomp, on the Mega Garchomp, which sucks. Because that would have been some decent damage, maybe another +1 in attack, or +1 in defense, which would have been nice. Maybe with the leftovers, I could live whatever support attack range she's got next. Scolipede comes in though, and I decide I'm going to protect for the speed, and Icy Wind will just sack the Weird Ear here, which is to be expected. Like, there's nothing else it can really do. It doesn't outspeed either of their mons, and even if it did, it's not doing enough to finish anything off. Icy Wind comes out and, as I said, finishes off Weird Ear there. 07's for Weird Ear though. It did its job, and it did it well, I would say. And Rock Slide gets blocked by the Protect play. Plus a free speed boost, so I should be a little bit faster than, at the very least, the Garchomp now, I would say. Although this Garchomp has been pretty damn fast. Either way, Aerodactyl comes back in on no HP. I decide I'm going to Wide Guard once again, predicting the Icy Wind and a Rock Slide again, because it just seems like the most viable play there. Wide Guard comes out, and Scolipede actually outspeeds Greninja with the +1 in speed. Leech Life completely demolishes it, just one-shots it, takes it out of the rest of the game. Now, here's the interesting part, because now we're getting a bit of deja vu with just a Greninja versus Scolipede Aerodactyl. I decide, but because it's Mega, I can actually hit it this time, so I decided to dual Wing Beat, and I decided to just go straight for the Mega and Leech Life for as much damage as possible. Now, again, I just want to say I love this Mega. They're easily one of my favorites. Electros does a lot more, but Leech Life comes out, not a lot. Dual Wing Beat does a lot more, honestly. It very much so did most of the damage that turn. Rock Slide comes for Garchomp, finishes off Aerodactyl, and does pretty much nothing to Scolipede. That defense boost the boost in defenses that Mega Scolipede gets is very helpful. And with the little bit of defense investment I gave it, really helped. Now, final Leech Life of the game finishes off Garchomp, and now I have the last Mega Stamina. And once again, GG's to my opponent was a very fun game. Actually, I think this was the same opponent from the third battle. It might be slightly different. I have to look back and check. Or you can do this so too. Let me know in the comments if it was the same person. But GG's once again, and I actually ranked up after this battle, which was pretty nice. I actually ended that season Ultra Ball 4, if I remember. But I hope you all enjoyed, and have a great rest of your day. Stay safe, and I will see y'all in the next video. Goodbye.